uh, Laksh and recording on live, and I'll also go live on Facebook in a second.
Sorry, Umair, I guess I lost you guys for a bit.
No worries. We're just starting with. I'm just going live on Facebook as well. So
Sure.
yeah. All right, everyone. We have 50 plus registration, and we're getting requests from the audience to have हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश मिक्स सो हम मैं ऐसे ही करूंगा मैं आधा हिंदी में आधा इंग्लिश में द होल वेबिनार विल बी मिक्स्ड इन हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश एंड मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि मैं एक हेल्दी मिक्स रखूं हिंदी और इंग्लिश का मेरी हिंदी उतनी उतनी अच्छी नहीं है बट आई स्टिल ट्राई एंड मिक्स हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश बोथ कूल great all right guys let's start the webinar. We have all our four speakers, that includes me, the host, and three speakers, Lakshdeep, Naveen, and Rohin. Lakshdeep is the founder and CEO of SearchTab. Naveen is founder and CEO of a company called Green Honchos, and Rohin is the founder and CEO of AdYogi. And I'll obviously do a little bit more in the intro, but these and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Wixo Technologies. Now, before I go in deep into what these companies do, I want to just briefly tell that how we all came together to do this webinar. So we have actually met each other on various occasions on different, seminars, in different conferences. But one of the things that I have always liked about talking to these three other founders has been that जब भी मैंने इन लोगों से बात करी है हम सारों का एक कॉमन गोल रहा है वो है मर्चेंट्स की हेल्प करना e-commerce merchants की help करना retail merchants की help करना and somewhere along the lines whenever I have spoken to them the same kind of energy that we have in our organization जहाँ पे हम लोगों ने भी over the period of time जो product build किया है वो product हमारा वो पूरा product हमारा इसी तरह से shape हुआ है as to make the life of a merchant easier and वो सेम एनर्जी जो है मुझे यू नो मिली है फ्रॉम दीज थ्री गाइज फ्रैंकली whenever I have had the chance to speak to them I have had the pleasure of interacting with all three of them on separate occasions and frankly मुझे बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि it's the same energy when I was in Shopify's office in February in Ottawa और जो उस ऑफिस की एनर्जी थी जो शॉपिफाई के अंदर ऑफिस की एनर्जी थी जो उन लोगों में एनर्जी थी दैट दे वांट टू हेल्प मर्चेंट्स एंड दे हैव ऑब्वियसली बिल्ट सच अ मैसिव कंपनी वो सेम एनर्जी मुझे अपने ये फाउंडर्स में देखी है इनफैक्ट we might not be as big as Shopify today but I think in some or the other way we have impacted real sales real revenue into merchants I think that is where we all came and I love the energy and this idea was brought okay yaar why not do like a small talk on this it's a prevailing topic let's start the let's start this thing so without further ado let me introduce our panelists to you so I'll start with Laksh. Laksh is the founder and CEO of a company called SearchTab. Now, SearchTab is a search technology enablement company. And one of the most important things, in fact, in Amazon, if you look at or any other platform, search is the key. Whenever you go to their platform, it's the search which is the signal. it is the search that leads to the discovery of products. So your search has to be absolutely on point, and I believe that Laksh has built a technology that solves a lot of these problems without any hassles or issues that you would face, because it's such a long process of building search and optimizing search. And he's like found the perfect mix of speed, balance, and relevancy. And I love the technology, and I have a lot of my customers use Search Tab, and they all say great things about Search Tab. So Laksh started it, and I'm so proud of tell that Search Tab is one of the partners of Wixo.
Thanks, Umair. Thanks for all your kind words. So happy to talk to everybody, share my experiences, whether they want to use Search Tab, whether they do not want to use Search Tab, I'm here to guide them, in whatever capacity I may, So yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and introduce the other panelists.
Perfect. Second, obviously we have Naveen. Naveen is the founder and CEO of Green Honchos. Green Honcho is a full 360-degree e-commerce enablement platform. And again, I came in touch with Naveen, and the things that they're doing of bringing offline retail into online, that is just unbelievable. The quality of that they're doing is absolutely unbelievable. And Naveen is with us here today to talk about that transition that you want to make, and how to enable your offline inventory, offline retail solutions, and bring them online and merge the two. Uh, uh, you know, uh, uh, the offline and online world into a single this thing. So, hi Naveen, welcome to the webinar.
Pleasure. Thanks.
So, and beyond Naveen, we have Rohin. Rohin runs a marketing automation company called AdYogi. AdYogi specializes in optimizing your all kind of ads: Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads. I am guessing. I think I remember talking to him about TikTok ads as well, Rohin. And fantastic technology. The results that they produce, unbelievable. Every merchant that I have spoken to talks really highly of AdYogi. Welcome to the webinar, Rohin.
Thanks, Sumit. Thank you for the kind words, and looking forward to interact with a lot of the attendees today. I hope everyone's safe and sound and listening to this from their homes, and really looking forward to some challenging questions.
Perfect. So we have the introduction out of the way, and myself, I am Mohammed Umair. I run a company called Wixo Technologies. Wixo is a full marketing automation suite which is used by retailers and e-commerce companies, and we help in solving marketing problems that includes email, SMS, push, all kind of mobile messaging technologies of the world today. And we're working with 400 plus e-commerce globally. That includes Puma, and across all clients, we have some of the biggest retailers. And I think during the course of the conversation, we'll have some case studies as well from all of these guys talking about some of the large retailers that they're working with. So let's kick it off, guys. Let's kick it off with our very first question. So I want to put this question out to Naveen first. Naveen, because you are like I discussed initially, Naveen runs Green Honchos, and Green Honchos is a full 360-degree e-commerce enablement platform. So Naveen, according to you, what is the transition of retail to e-commerce looking like in this coronavirus COVID-19 world and post-COVID-19 world? What is that transition looking like in the retail space?
Yeah, thanks for directing that question to me. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
I can.
great. So, I think the subject or the topic really is O2O of this webinar. So the transition pretty much from offline to online, I'd like to first of all just set the expectation there. I think hopefully both businesses are here to stay. I do think that online is going to be a more convenient and a quicker option in the immediate time frame for offline businesses as well, to gain more understanding of their customer, because the customer has moved online sooner rather than sluggish in comparison to the last 3 months especially. We keep talking about a very interesting demography of users who are real customers with larger ticket sizes now. We're seeing that happening where brands are having to repurpose their entire setup. Earlier they had their inventories sitting in ERPs, sitting in their POS systems, sitting in their order management systems. In fact, a lot of the panelists here have been solutioning some of them for some of our clients together, like Rohan and myself, where there are so many sources of inventory that historically retailers have been using as pockets. And now they're trying to very quickly line them all up to be able to serve them online, and are now looking for front-end solutions to say, okay, this back-end problem, please solve, so that we can bring that to our customers that are very, very soon hurrying and queuing up because the demand is there. And when the demand is there, the supply, whoever is catering to that supply now, is obviously getting a share of the wallet. So we're beginning to work in a huge number of inquiries of late. The tough one that we are finding at Green Launches is to figure out which are the real inquiries versus great forums or formats like this, where we'd love to share our findings at an aggregated level and share what we can from what we are hearing as best practices for e-commerce. So I'd pass that back to you.
Just a quick note on that, Naveen. Just very quickly on touching that on that point of yours. Is that a choice that people are making between marketplaces and their own e-commerce presence, or is it like a hybrid that they're going? What are they saying right now?
So that's a great question, actually, because we are facing a lot of brands asking us that as, let's say, e-commerce consultants, that because clearly the marketplaces don't need the investment per se as a capex, but if they are brands, then I don't think that question is really an either or.
Yep.
It is a both, and in fact, when it's both, then the opportunity to really push forward is much more in the brand e-commerce own presence.
Right.
Because there are a lot of factors around the ecosystem, like I'm sure Rohan would talk about falling rates of of ad inventory that results in higher conversion. I'm sure even Laksh will talk about how people are used to searching off-site, but how much of great conversions are happening by searching on-site. And that really is controls that we can really play a lot more with when it comes to your own website. In marketplaces, a lot of the dynamics are not known because you don't own the marketplace.
Correct.
So there are a lot of dynamics out of control. If you want to bring predictability to the business and growth, then you'd have to be able to have your own point of sale. It's really the same reason why even in offline, there was always the EBO versus the MBO. And control was there in the EBO, the exclusive stores. I think, if you're looking at quick sales and a path and an expertise in marketplace, if your collection is in line, if your pricing product can cater to that, surely marketplaces is a great place. But if you're looking at really cutting through the clutter and chartering a path of growth, and if inventories are available, there is no better time than now to really go onto your exclusive e-commerce. Because I think even the P&L, which has always been the problem for the exclusive e-commerce, this is a great time because the P&L can look very encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, insight, Naveen. Really insightful answer, and I do believe that you're 100% right in terms of a hybrid model which kind of hybrids between marketplaces and own e-commerce, and you have to play on both the fields, right, to benefit from it. So on that point, I want to go to Rohin. Hi, Rohin. Can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah, loud and clear.
Right. So, Rohin, I think on that point, what Naveen was making, offline retail is now going online. Now, people are moving from an offline retail world to an online presence, right? And they used to sell online orders via Instagram. Now, how do they want to make that transition from offline to online, and not lose any sales, but still market to that same audience using channels like Instagram, Facebook?
Right. So I think one basic step when you move from purely selling on Instagram or WhatsApp is to have a website. Now, a lot of SaaS players, including Shopify, have rolled out quite attractive features that they are giving a 90-day free trial. You can actually get a Shopify website done in like 7 to 10 days at max, and you can build your presence there. The good part, if you do, let's say, Instagram and WhatsApp marketing well enough, all that audience that you reach out to, all the audience who's clicked on your product, you can map that audience, and you can retarget those audiences once you create a web store. So whenever you create a website, one, the brand gets an independent identity of its own. Secondly, when you start getting some customers, you start to get some data points around what kind of people are engaging with your product, what kind of people are buying your product. So then you can have some attributes that in the entire universe of Facebook, Google, TikTok, and all these social media platforms, which is the core audience which is indulging in my product. So, and there's absolutely no ad spend limit to get started. You can get started with as low as 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, and you can even do 5 lakhs rupees a day of ad spend. So once you are able to figure out where your brand positioning is, what kind of people are buying your brand, and you'll get a lot of data points around it. How many people click on your products? How many people do an add to cart? How many people finally end up buying your product? Once you understand those benchmarks, it becomes much easier for you to scale up. And even though how efficient you are at a 10,000, 20,000 rupees will not make much of a difference, because you'll have your labor costs, salaries, warehouse, rentals to be paid. So unless you hit a decent scale, which will happen only through the website, because you'll have a lot of levers to play around with marketing, you will not be able to, let's say, come to a very sustainable kind of a business. So my first suggestion would be have a web store, get some presence online built up, and then try out some marketing efforts on any of these platforms, and then see where do you land. And you can always learn from your mistakes and build it up from there.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks for that. So basically, what you're saying is that start, from wherever you want to, whatever budgets that is suited to your brand, and scale to that audience, which is which is your core audience, which you've built over time. Measure the traction that it's bringing in, and based on the events that are happening, like add to carts and checkouts, build a more granular audience and market to them. Correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Bullet point. So great. So now we talked about from Naveen to from transitioning, making that move, and then we talked about a little bit about running ads on different audiences. Now the e-commerce is set, for example, and I want to scale my e-commerce. So now my question to Laksh is, Laksh, what are some of the common mistakes that up and coming e-commerce who have just recently set up the e-commerce domain, what are the common mistakes that they do when they go live on the first time? What exactly do they challenges that they face, and what are the common pitfalls that new e-commerce make, Laksh?
So, one of the things that I've seen is that, people struggle to choose between a certain platform. So, at the very onset, one of the big struggles that is whether to go for Magento or Shopify or WooCommerce, OpenCart, etc. The thing that, that most people miss out is once they choose this platform and once they start building their website or go live, is that, if they have a URL, if they have an e-commerce thing where an add to cart or a buy now is working, they feel that, you know, their e-commerce site is up and running. But what they ignore mostly is what is the overall site performance, what is the overall page speed that they are getting. So you know what, if your page loads, you know, in more than 8 seconds or 10 seconds, then that's actually no good. So you can just try spending as much money on your marketing, try doing as kind of SEO, whatever you wish to do, but you will never have the kind of conversions, you know, that you would expect, or anything which can probably lead to a path of profitability. You know, basic hygiene, at times I have seen, you know, people missing basic hygiene, like testing on multiple browsers, probably in multiple, you know, mobile devices which have different resolutions. So while, you know, if somebody might have like an Apple, you know, iPhone 10 and everything works great there, but you know, if somebody is having a Xiaomi phone, it might or might not work there. So you know, these are basic hygiene things which people miss. The other thing that I have noticed, you know, because I deep dive into analytics and numbers, I'm a numbers guy per se, is while most of the people who are running e-commerce stores, you know, come back to us and they say that, you know, they have Google Analytics implemented, there are two things that I have noticed very commonly. Even though they may have Google Analytics integrated, some of them for some reason have do not track conversions through that. And that's like that's like the holy grail. If you're not tracking conversions from your data, then, you know, GA is no good as such. And the other thing that they do is, you know, they've put their Google Analytics code in the footer file, and, you know, or probably Shopify via an app. They don't actually go back to look at their data. They do not look at their data and, you know, make some actionable tasks on it, you know. So they do not track, you know, how many visitors came to my website, to how many actually dropped off on the homepage itself and never landed onto the category page. Or let's say from the category page to the product page, you know, what is the percentage of people dropping off or converting? What is my add to cart, you know, ratio? What is my cart to conversion or checkout ratio? Could there be a problem with the payment gateway? I mean, could there be a problem with the messaging or the look and feel? You know, what kind of mobile devices, what kind of resolutions is my traffic coming from? So having GA and not using GA, I think this is what we've seen, and what I feel is something that can very easily be avoided. You know, if you set up like a recurring calendar invite, you know, just checking your GA data every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe every, you know, once a month, and probably a little more, you know, if you're just starting out, I think that could really help. And, you know, one of the other things that I have seen people make a mistake is that, you know, once the web store is built up, then, you know, there is this race of, you know, trying to get more visitors onto the website. And because we work with, you know, slightly more mature companies, you know, what we've seen is, you know, if somebody has like a 200K traffic or a 500K traffic, you know, on a higher side, if they were to increase their revenues, let's say by 30% or by 50%, getting that additional 100,000 visitors or 200,000 visitors is going to be a pain in the ass, probably a very expensive, you know, thing as well. But let's say if the same website has a conversion percentage of 1.1, which is something that we've seen typically 1.1, 1.2, you know, on a good site, probably a 1.5, you know, going from a 1.1 to a 1.4 or a 1.5 conversion rate isn't really that difficult if you kind of, you know, do your basics right, if you kind of start focusing there. Probably a 2-week effort can, you know, increase your conversion rate number by 20 to 30%. So that's all of the additional revenue from the exact same audience, exact marketing, same marketing budget. I think that's something that we've seen people miss. And while if we notice that, we always, you know, bring it up to our clients that probably this is something that you should be looking at. So, I mean, and this is something for everybody, you know, anybody and everybody who's running an e-commerce store can probably look at this data and, you know, make some corrections or improvements rather, maybe if not corrections, just improvements.
Right. No. So, so just to, you know, sum up your point, you're saying that have proper analytics and tracking on place when you start a web store, whether you're small, big, doesn't matter. Track each and every single sale and what's the source of that sale. You know, sometimes people are receiving sales from some content share on WhatsApp, and some people are receiving sales from someone, you know, suggesting it. So you got to track where your sale is coming from, correct? And second is you're talking about things like speed and optimization of the website. So build it on a platform that's optimized for the mobile world, the world of the age of mobile phones. That it opens up in a mobile view. It's super responsive, and it loads in, you know, uh, in seconds, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Now, we are obviously in very unprecedented times, and we're seeing already some questions people are asking about can this start a retail outlet of, but obviously it's a very, very unprecedented situation. The coronavirus, COVID-19 shook the world completely, but new markets have emerged in this, especially for e-commerce, right? Different types of, so omni-channel play, the kind of, like, you know, initially I discussed you know, with Naveen, the omni-channel play where the merge, where the retail and e-commerce are merging together, right? And new models of delivery from hyper local to, from store to home, and not just warehouse to home. So Naveen, my question to you, in this unprecedented time, these changing modules of e-commerce and these blurring lines between e-commerce and retail, what's your take on that? Are they here to stay, and how are they going to change the face of e-commerce once this is all over?
So for any offline retailer, I think when even brand e-commerce obviously is a no-brainer. I think it's about figuring out, you know, what of the models, whether it is omni-channel or hyper-local, makes most sense depending on the formats. You know, so a lot of them have company-owned stores across. Some of our clients have company-owned stores across. I was seeing one of the questions I'm actually answering to them: company versus franchise. So in company-owned stores, it becomes much easier to go ahead with omni-channel as an implementation, because you still have full ownership of all the systems or the technology systems that are available, from a billing cost perspective to an inventory exposure perspective to an ERP perspective, for you to be able to consolidate stock as well as route orders basis geolocation, etc., to the nearest, and also kind of get the offline stores at locations more useful, especially during weekdays and low footfall times. Because see, the fact of the matter is, loyalty only resides in the offline largely. I mean, while all of us talk so much about online,
Yeah.
you know, it's the physical location, and I think the Kirana revolution in this last 2 months has really shown that there is a connect, there is a bond. I think brands who have a large offline network are really trying to figure out how to utilize those stores and those store staff to really be able to showcase their catalog to that vicinity.
Yeah.
And really take the store to the homes within that vicinity where there is familiarity. Conversions are very high because of that last mile understanding. Even what I hear of in the last 10-15 days, even in Delhi NCR where we are, the conversion rates at stores are nearly 100%, because people are coming out only to buy. It's just that the footfall doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So from who's coming in, the conversions are high. So how could we create a hyper local environment where the local stores are able to really enable their sales and loyalty traction area with the stock that exists in that store, more like a store to home?
Yeah.
The reverse of this would be the omni-channel, where you are really using your offline more from a fulfillment standpoint, but all the consolidation and channelization of inventory is centrally residing in an omni-channel network. So anyone in the offline space that is looking to go live now, one of the big benefits we are seeing of hyperlocal over omni-channel is especially in the franchise space, where a store wants to take control of their own promotions or wants to actually mobilize sales in particular locations. They could be stores that have just come up. that need marketing support from the principal brand, or even franchise owners that say, I don't have a problem, I want to invest in making my store a little more omni-channel or hyper-local. So we are also working on concepts where, and we actually have that available now, where each location could actually get XYZ brand / location as a as an e-commerce site, and they could end up doing as much promotions as they want, branding it however they want. They could get branding assistance from the principal brand as well, and I think it's a good retail enabler from a manufacturer or a brand. So I do see a lot of these concepts of localization coming into the picture much more heavy.
Right. So what you're saying, Naveen, is basically this is here to stay. A. Second is that there are new channels of delivery being explored, like store to home. And again, this will result in a lot of non-company operated franchisee stores also to kind of, be benefited from the fulfillment.
Right.
Will reduce the pressure on warehouse delivery, whereas
Right.
increase the delivery directly from the store.
Sure.
And so that's great. And on that point, obviously we've seen that hybrid model kind of work from offline to online retail, but I just wanted to very quickly touch base on another point that you mentioned while we were speaking a while back, is that there have been now efforts being put by retailers to bring all of that inventory live on their store as well. Right. So is that something that you're seeing in offline retail, that are they bringing their live retail inventory from their POS and, enabling e-commerce stores, orders to be tagged that are to be fulfilled by a particular stores?
So I'll answer that question. It's another great use case that we're seeing, both from a online marketplaces perspective as well as a own website perspective. See, on the own website, we're receiving a lot of inquiries where there used to be an add to cart and a buy now button at the product detail page. The pick up at store button is really something that a lot more of asking for, or not even pick up at store, because the customers are not necessarily coming to the store, but get it delivered from a nearest store, which is where at the buy now button, brands are asking us, can you add another button out there where we are able to see where all this particular style is available, and it could be delivered to us, or we can decide whether to pick it up from there. So that is a interesting phenomenon and a use case that I think enables the full inventory.
You can pick it up from the stores as well, or
Yes.
can you deliver directly from store, saving them the cost of delivery.
Yeah,
Perfect,
and obviously
perfect. Now,
that local
on the delivery
logistics is
question,
much cheaper. Where you could also get your hyper local logistics synced into each store, and then say, okay, from your Dunzos to your Swiggy locals to Genies, all of them could get active. And the other is, I do already see the marketplaces had done a lot of O2O pilots last year, but they weren't rolled out full because there wasn't any mad rush on that. But right now, so for example, Tata Click allows omni-channel as a delivery model, plug and play. Almost all the others have done their pilots. Some have in closed groups, piloted with certain brands that have their major inventories, offline. So for example, H&M has all the inventory offline. Myntra piloted with them. All their deliveries went in omni-channel model. But I do see that becoming the norm and the default in times to come. So we are also working on interesting models where, there are a lot of segments that suddenly become, I wouldn't say essentials necessarily, but say, for example, eyewear. Over a period of time, people need lenses, people need glasses, everything. So eyewear also, a lot of it now pick up from store or deliver home. Another interesting use case is alcoholic beverages.
Fantastic.
So
I just saw Lakshadweep's eyes light up a little bit.
So over a course of time, we are working with one of the largest beer brands to really open that up. And that is a business that is only the retail distribution oriented. So no brand directly sells to customer. But the ability to get hyperlocal going so that people get within 2 hours what they want, even cold storage, is a very interesting use case of how some of these, from earlier being essentials only to also being, over the long haul, a little more than essentials as even a requirement,
Yeah.
coming much more into play in these models.
Perfect. So on the question of orders, let's bring in Rohin, because Rohin, one of the major questions, and this is something that everyone who has run an e-commerce store or is planning to run an e-commerce store or has been part of operations of running an e-commerce store, a lot of these always talk about, we're talking about delivery, we're talking about inventory online, but one of the key problems that has affected e-commerce in India has been returns, right? The cash on delivery orders which get returned, and they form a major part of this thing. So you spend some amount of dollars, rupees to get a customer online, and then they place an order COD, but the order gets cancelled. So all your effort goes into the drain. What do you suggest? Should people only be charging? Should they only be charging taking prepaid orders at this time? How is COD affecting the whole landscape? And how do you plan? How do you propose e-commerce who are just starting up? They tackle this problem.
Okay, so I think very valid question. A lot of brands grapple with this. One simple answer, a binary answer is that please have COD enabled on your website, largely because India is a COD driven market. You will see cancellations, you will see returns in COD orders, but then even if you remove those orders, you will find the most genuine orders also coming in through the COD route. So, how do you avoid getting stuck in COD cancellations and getting returns? First, have a very realistic timelines around the delivery part. If you're able to deliver in 7 days, please clearly mention that you'll be delivering in 7 to 10 days. Have a very robust system of your package being the information being sent out to the clients, customers, that your package has been shipped. It'll probably reach you in next 3 days, or it has reached your state warehouse. It'll be shipped in next 2 to 3 days at this time. So that really helps in customers understanding that their parcel is already in the process of logistics. Secondly, I think it's the easiest way to get an online order is that brands can roll out probably some additional discount on card payments or online payments. So a lot of brands have started doing that, and they definitely see some shift. So I'll not name the brand, but let's say if you're doing 30% online orders, they've actually gone from 30 to around 38-40% online orders, which is a neat jump, and there is no reverse logistics, no cancellations, that kind of stuff. So COD market, unfortunately, India is very heavy on that part. You will have to keep the COD, but you'll have to be very proactive in terms of calling up the customer, confirming the order, giving them updates very regularly, and once, let's say, you get the customer, typically what we see is every returning customer typically prefers the online option. So once you are able to get a COD customer for the first time, then the lifetime value of that customer ordering through the online methods is very high. So just be at it. I think you definitely need to be very cautious around shipping those orders, but please keep COD on. That's the only way you'll be able to grow in India, because people are used to it. Amazon, Myntra have kind of given very bad habits to Indian consumers.
We are spoiled with our COD order.
Absolutely, and I think it's a I think a serious habit to change now. But I think with contactless being the new norm, people are still, let's say, even at the delivery point, people are like, can we pay through Paytm or a Google Pay?
Yeah.
So those things are coming in place, which brings in more trust onto the online methods. And hopefully, definitely, because of COVID, also maybe one blessing in disguise would be that people will move from COD to online options.
So what you're saying is, again, I'm just, every time I ask a question and I get an answer, I try and summarize it into a, because I want to create a checklist for our listeners. So what you're saying is that while COD is important, offer maybe an additional slight discount if they pay and become a prepaid customer, rather than a cash on delivery kind of a situation. And the second is, build trust with the audience, obviously. So once they have bought from you, chances are second purchase could easily be an online prepaid purchase.
Right.
And third, you're saying that while we have to live with cash on delivery, uh, we try and shift as much as possible to the prepaid orders. And the coronavirus situation and the contactless delivery and all of this, and card to the card on delivery instead of cash on delivery. So all these things are becoming popular. Just saying.
Correct, correct. And just cross check the orders before you ship. Just talk to the customer for the COD orders before
So
you ship.
confirm. So guys, if you're running an e-commerce store, confirm again and again as much as possible. Email, phone, SMS, send out a confirmation communication. Talk to the customer if possible. Try and give them an additional discount if they can turn it into a prepaid order, and rest. Hope for the best. And I think there is a centralized database amongst the logistics companies now, of people who return orders across various platforms. There is a high chance of return. So I think we've been talking to a few e-commerce companies like Lenskart, who have kind of put this into place, because these are the companies that can help a smaller merchant, because they had at least 5 orders or 6 orders from a single person come, come back, returned. So why not tell all the merchants about this particular person, right? That the chances of get a default, or not a default, but chances of return of your product is high if the order is coming from this particular email address or this particular phone number. So I think a centralized database is being created amongst the logistics company. I was fortunate enough to talk to Amit Chaudhary from Lenskart, who mentioned that there is something in the works that that will be beneficial to all small, medium, and early stage merchants, so that they can avoid those pitfalls. Perfect. So again, moving on. So we've tackled the problem of COD. We've tackled the problem of bringing online. Now imagine someone has a website and the traffic is coming in, right? What are the data signals? And this is a question that I'm asking Laksh. So Laksh, what are the data signals? Because you search, and search is the heartbeat of a e-commerce store, because what you should be promoting, you have 100, 200 SKUs. What you should be promoting is directly correlational to what people are searching on your platform. And search tab can give exactly what the results of those. So my question to you is, what are the data points someone should look at in terms of search matrices when they have an e-commerce store? What is the data points that it should be looking at in terms of search term data, in terms of what people are searching, what SKUs are popular, and how do they optimize the website and the experience so that those products can come out on top?
So, if you were to look at search data, just before, I answer that, let me just tell you what are the industry averages, so that you are able to benchmark, your performance against others.
Absolutely.
To know where you stand, right?
Absolutely.
So what we've seen is, typically on an e-commerce website, on the lower side, 5% of the visitors would use search. Probably on a higher side, 15% of the visitors would use search. The average number would be around in the 8 to 10% range. So these are the visitors which are using search. Now, one of the numbers that you should be looking at is, from these visitors, how much revenue am I getting? Now, that will be a clear indicator of, is your search a good search or a bad search? Just to give you, again, some industry numbers, some benchmark numbers, these, 5 to 10% visitors which are using the search should be contributing bare minimum 15% revenue on your website, and probably, up to a 35-40% number. Of course, there are outliers, on industry, depending on the industry, depending on the category you are in. So the number can be higher, but your search should be contributing these kind of numbers. So this is what my analysis says. Now, what are the important matrices that you should be tracking? What are the important things that you should be tracking to optimize for these conversions? Because at the end of the day, if you are running an e-commerce store, what should matter is the conversions, right? So one of the things that you should be looking at is what is your search bounce rate? So how many people use the search and then bounce off? Now, just a while back, we were talking about, COD, etc. and why, COD is very, very popular. So very, very basic thing why COD is so popular and still popular, when people are going contactless is because we are a trust deficit economy. We don't necessarily trust, I might just pay you via my debit card or my credit card. I don't know if there is a random transaction going to happen on my card or will I even get my order or not, right? Now, people who are coming and using the search, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So people who are using the search by default are one step ahead of the average user. And I'll tell you why. If somebody comes to your website and searches for a pink kurta or a red kurta, it means that they already have an opinion on your website. They already have something in mind that they are specifically looking for, which means that that trust is already there somewhere in their mind because they're looking for something very specific from that site, right? So chances of that person returning your order, chances of that person not converting are fairly less until and unless you make a mockery of it. So if, somebody searches for, green pants and you start showing him green tops, or somebody searches for white tops and you start showing him all the tops which are printed, etc. It doesn't make sense for that, end user. So you need to focus on that. And another thing that I want to mention here is, on your category pages, barely would you see, and you can cross check this data with your GA numbers, that people will not go beyond the page 3 of your category page. It's like the long tail.
Yeah.
So it is extremely important that whichever products are getting clicked on, or let's say if somebody is searching for a red kurta, the kurta which sells the most, ideally, or the kurta which you have a better margin on, or let's say it's a newer product, it's from your latest collection, should ideally show on top. So basic matrices, if I were to repeat, are look at your search bounce rate, look at your conversion numbers from search, which will help you understand where you stand, and then just optimize for the better selling products on search and on your category pages. I think this is what I would say. Just to add to that, because this touched my mind, was try and go to your platform, whichever platform you are using, and try and figure out either via GA or your platform, or if you're a SearchTab customer, look at your top searches, look at your zero search results. And I'll take an example of a client, how they actually used the zero search results to their favor. So there is a brand which used to sell sleepwear, loungewear. A lot of searches were happening on their website, for maternity wear. So what they actually started doing was they started producing that and started listing that on their website, and that actually started contributing a good 20-25% of their overall revenues, because they were already in the loungewear, sleepwear category. And not just through their website, because they're like a brand, so they're also selling through marketplaces. So the same demand actually, picked up on other places as well. So in a way, they looked at, basic data that somebody is looking for maternity dresses or maternity wear, and they used it to their advantage. So, I think this is something, even if you look at these couple of things, these 4-5 things, which probably should not take more than an hour and a half of your time, maybe once in a month, I think you stand to gain a lot from that.
Understood. So basically what Laksh is, you're saying is that they should look at their search results as one of the key matrices in deciding how they should place the inventory, and what should be the order and relevancy of result is the key. So search data directly leads to better sales, simply because you optimize your searches for a better conversion. The quicker the person reaches to the right product, the chances of getting to the sale are higher. Simple as that, right?
Absolutely. See, it's like saying that you go to a store and you were looking for something specific, let's say, you know, you go to a physical store and you, I mean, probably a chemist shop, and you ask for a thermometer. You know, he brings to you a glucometer, he brings to you a oximeter.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that experience. So, you know,
so
basic concepts.
हमें actually actual retail के experience को online लेके आना है.
Absolutely.
And when someone walks into a retail store, अगर उनको सामने चीज दिख जाती है तो बहुत बढ़िया है. Nothing like it. But अगर नहीं दिखती है तो they will ask someone, and the someone that is there in the website is the search tab.
Absolutely. And even otherwise, you know, just another example that just came to my mind. So, you know, shirts hain. I mean, and I'll speak in Hindi because, you know, we've received some requests of people, you know, asking us to speak in Hindi. Yeah. So let's say आप shirts बेच रहे हैं, आप dresses बेच रहे हैं, आप tops बेच रहे हैं. You know, it's very simple just to show what are the available sizes. So, you know, a certain top or a dress might not be available in medium size, or a shirt might not be available. And let's say medium is the most common size. But अगर वो आपके पास available नहीं है, और अगर आपने उसके नीचे M को नहीं दिखाया या M को cross out कर दिया है, तो user उस product पे click ही नहीं करेगा. अब आप सोचिए, आप shirts के पेज पर हैं, आपने 4 shirts खोल ली, अब वो चारों शर्ट जो आपको पसंद आ रही है वो मीडियम में है नहीं अवेलेबल, तो आप क्या खरीदेंगे? सो होगा क्या कि आप ये कहेंगे कि अवेलेबल ही नहीं है, एंड मैं और टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करूंगा बिकॉज मेरे पास और टैब्स हैं, मैंने और 3 साइट्स खोल रखी हैं. सो यू नो, जस्ट ट्राई एंड मेक इट इजियर फॉर योर कस्टमर्स. आप खुद सोचिए कि आपको कैसा एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए होगा.
So Umair, sorry, I'll take your role for a moment. So at Wixo, I think you guys do a lot of this stuff on the personalization side, showing people what they want. If you can just share some thoughts on what you're seeing on that side.
No, I think absolutely, Naveen. One of the things that you know, like Laksh was mentioning, and Rohan also mentioned. So you have to understand your customer better, right? And the one of the key ways to do that is to look at obviously search data, like you know, to get the key metrics like Laksh was mentioning, but also जितनी भी आपकी sales हो रही हैं site पे, understanding each and every customer from a data analytics perspective is very important. So you cannot have, in today's time, you cannot have a marketing platform, you cannot have SMS platform जहाँ पे आपने एक लिस्ट अपलोड करी इन फोन नंबर्स की जो आपने रिटेल से उठाए और मास ब्लास्ट कर दिया, एंड उससे आप कह रहे हो कि यार सेल आएंगी. नो, एंड नो क्वेश्चंस कि उस डेटा पे सेल आएंगे, बिकॉज वो एक्चुअली आपका रिटेल का डेटा है, राइट? जब आप उसको रिटेल को डेटा को आप मूव करोगे ऑनलाइन, इट्स गोना ब्रिंग यू सेल्स बिकॉज द पीपल हैव ऑलरेडी शॉप्ड विद यू ऑन रिटेल स्टोर्स, and they might as well shop at the e-commerce store as well. But what happens is each and every individual, and that's what we work as well. So ours is a marketing platform which actually enables e-commerce and retail companies to build those 360-degree user profile, ताकि सिर्फ कैंपेन लेवल डेटा ना मिले कि आपने एक एसएमएस चलाया तो हाँ जी उससे 50,000 विजिटर्स आ गए मेरे, या 5,000 विजिटर्स आ गए, या 2,000 विजिटर, 20 विजिटर्स आ गए. उससे आप सेल्स भी ट्रैक कर सकें, बट उससे भी बेटर है एक्चुअली आप हर इंडिविजुअल यूजर की एक प्रोफाइल बना सकें कि वो 50,000 यूजर्स साइट पे आए, क्या देखा, क्या कौन सा प्रोडक्ट व्यू किया, कौन सा प्रोडक्ट नहीं किया, सो दैट यू गेट अ सेंस के you can actually segment your customers better, right? And even from your retail data, the retail data should not only just consider email and phone numbers, it should actually consider SKU level data as well, so that if you want to divide your segment your customers list, it should not be done only on, it should be done on whether they are high average order value customer, low average order value customer, which products are they looking at, which products have they bought. वो रिटेल डेटा में भी सेगमेंटेशन हो सकता है, वो ई कॉमर्स डेटा में भी सेगमेंटेशन हो सकता है. एंड फ्रैंकली आई एम अमेज्ड दैट इवन टुडे वी गो टू मिड साइज ब्रांड, मिड साइज कंपनी जो कि 5-6 करोड़ 10 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू कर रहे हैं, एंड आई टॉक टू देम कि अच्छा आप यू नो व्हाट इज द मोस्ट प्रॉफिटेबल चैनल फॉर यू, एंड दे विल से कि हमारा रिटर्न ऑन एड स्पेंड ऑन फेसबुक इज 5x आ रहा है, which is great, but वो क्या प्रोडक्ट्स खरीद रहे हैं, किस तरह के वो है, क्या वो रिपीट बाइंग है, क्या वो नए कस्टमर एक्विजिशन है, क्या उस बंदे ने पहले कोई, तो वो पूरा एनालिसिस किसी एक बिजनेस एनालिस्ट, बिकॉज कहीं पे भी दे आर नॉट डूइंग, एंड बिकॉज all the mid-sized brand think that business analytics is something that it's a rich man's game, right? So they don't have access to a marketing platform that does that for them. So we actually at Wixo, our marketing platform is designed to not only do campaign level reporting and data and allow them, but also deep dive into their data and find out कि कौन क्या खरीद रहा है, कौन सा SKU, कौन सा product, कौन सा hot selling product है, कौन से channel से sale आई है, all of it in a 360-degree manner. That data analysis. So, right. So, guys, we also have to take questions. We'll take very. I have just one question, and I want to ask all of them, all of you guys, to answer it in your own ways. If you have to summarize transitioning retail to online, just 3 points, 3 key points to remember. And I'll, go Naveen, Rohin, and Laksh. 3 key points to remember of transitioning online to offline, merging the 2 lines, and then scaling up. What are the 3 points that you would suggest to people who are listening? What should be their 3 actionable points?
See, now we'll keep it quick, so I'll just use some phrases or words. I think speed of action is critical. I come from a point where I'd say getting the right technology user experience in place. Obviously, I come from that background, and getting marketing right, which includes performance, which includes getting search, includes personalization. So speed, tech, and marketing.
Wow. Speed, tech, and marketing. Brilliantly put. Rohin, same question. 3 pointers. What is the suggestion to transition offline to online?
I think apart from what Naveen has said, look at 3 investment buckets and think of it as a offline store, a new store that you want to put up.
Rohin, can you be a little loud? Sorry, still not. Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah. Much better. Yes.
Okay. So I think in addition to what Naveen has said, I think people should definitely look at it from an investment perspective. You should definitely go with a good, solid website. Invest a lot in creatives. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. You need to have show up your products in a very fancy style to the customers. Just be honest with your product, and just go to market very fast. You don't know what will work, what will not work. So whatever you have to try, just start small and then scale it up big. So good website, very good creatives, and go to market should be as quick as possible.
So basically, what you're saying is Sundar creative, ekdam बिकने वाली चीज. And second, you're suggesting start small experiments.
Right.
Scale it up, whatever is working, double down on whatever is working for you.
Absolutely.
जो काम कर रहा है उसको आप बढ़ाएं, जो काम नहीं कर रहा उसका बजट रिड्यूस कर दें. Correct?
Exactly.
And obviously look at the matrices that you are driving again.
Correct.
And obviously choosing the platform right? Wherever you are going, whichever platform you're choosing to build your e-commerce platform on. That's also important.
Right.
So 3 pointers from Rohin. Laksh, 3 pointers from you. You're on mute, Laksh. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So I think the first point I'd like to say is try and experience your website as an end customer. I think that is extremely key. So, we often tend to love our own child, our own babies the most, right? But then you have to, take a very, very objective view of the website. Whoever you are with, probably take their phone, just open up your website, ask them what they think of it. And try and gather, their opinion, their suggestions. Just listen to your customers. I mean, I won't even mind, saying that you should probably call up, 1 customer a day, maybe 1 customer every couple of days, just to ask what they liked and probably what they could have improved. Just gather that kind of feedback from your end customers. It's extremely important. When people in certain pin codes may or may not be open to buying online or buy, or more inclined towards buying COD. Talk to them, understand what is the issue, what you could have done better, to bring in more trust. Maybe like a 30-day money back guarantee, or returns available, etc. Probably clearly listing that policy out on your website might just help. Somebody who's just wondering, if I buy something and what if it doesn't fit? Can I return? Can I not return? What is their policy, etc. So maybe somebody can tell you, that maybe that's probably the other thing. Be clear on your website. And I think the third thing is analytics. Everybody talks about analytics. Everybody says that they have analytics, which is what I said earlier as well. GA होना जरूरी है, लेकिन GA पे काम करना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. किसी भी एनालिटिक्स पे काम करना बहुत जरूरी है. Whether it is your Facebook ad campaign data, Instagram campaign data, SMS campaign data, search data, कोई भी data हो, but आप उस पे थोड़ा सा spend some time, think of it as a meditation and try and see how can you maximize revenue from there. People always want to maximize revenues, but the difficult part is they don't want to kind of spend time, put in that effort to achieve those results. और वो बिना एफर्ट डाले, बिना उस डेटा को देख करके किए रिजल्ट आ नहीं सकता, कोई भी नहीं ला सकता, चाहे सर्च टैब हो या मे बी और अदर 10 प्रोडक्ट्स हो मार्केट में. वो आपके लिए वो काम नहीं कर सकते हैं जो कुछ काम आपको करना है.
भगवान के सिवाय, भगवान ला सकते हैं चाहे तो. No, but नहीं, but absolutely right on point. I was talking to a gentleman who's jumping into e-commerce last week. तो मैंने उनको यही बोला, मैंने कहा डेटा एनालिटिक्स, एंड ही वाज वेरी पर्टिकुलर कि मुझे ये डेटा चाहिए. तो माय सेल्स का, ऑब्वियसली सेल्स वालों को होता है जल्दी से सेल आए ताकि कमीशन आए, और वो भी कोरोना वायरस के टाइम पे कमीशन इज लाइक a big thing. So they were trying to sell, and he was asking too many questions. So the sales guy goes and says के सर मतलब इतना डेटा अभी से आप स्टार्ट कर रहे हो? कह रहा बेटा पैसा उसी से बनता है जो काम करने में मजा नहीं आता. सो इट माइट लुक लाइक के उस पे 2 घंटे 3 घंटे लगाने पड़ेंगे, एनालिटिक्स में डेटा एनालाइज करना पड़ेगा, एंड वो करना पड़ेगा. बट आई थिंक he was right on point. You might have to do all of those things, but you will have to do it at the end of the day. Absolutely. And what Laksh was saying, 3 pointers again, repeating. I think one was user experience. Check the user experience from a customer's standpoint. Is it easy to shop on my website? Is it hard to shop? How fast I can check out, right? Second, analyze. Google Analytics data, search data, campaign level data, all kind of data. Analyze what's working for you. And third is build trust. Tell people that there is a money back guarantee, or a refund policy, or a return, you accept returns, whatever it is. Tell people, build trust. Correct, Laksh? Did I miss out on any point?
I think you were absolutely on point.
Perfect. So we have had our my 3 pointers of transitioning offline to online is offline. If you're a retailer who's transitioning to online, first thing to do is, like Naveen said, choose the right platform. Absolutely critical in building. Bring all your retail. हमने retail में जो सबसे ज़्यादा सीखा है, मैंने वो सीखा है loyalty build कर. जो छोटे-छोटे retailers हैं वो loyalty build करते हैं. Unfortunately, in today's time, in digital world, loyalty means your ability to reach out to them. अगर आपके retail store पे 5,000 लोग आपसे shopping करते हैं every month, and you don't have a hard data point to reach out to them for your online store, then you have not done आपको फिर से वापस से वो उनका यूजर एक्विजिशन करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, नए सिरे से वो. सो ब्रिंग योर डेटा ऑनलाइन, ब्रिंग ऑल योर ईमेल एड्रेसेस, यूज व्हाट्सएप, bring all of those phone numbers online, and tell these people to market, and obviously the third thing is when you're transitioning and when you're scaling up, merge the lines between retail and online, because nothing is anymore, there are shouldn't be any lines anymore. It should be omni-channel. Obviously, a small startup might not be able to achieve omni-channel, but you have to start somewhere and go towards it. So my 3 pointers would be, to choose the right platform, bring your data online, utilize performance marketing like email, SMS, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, again and again. And finally, and finally build an omni-channel platform and scale towards an omni-channel platform, right? With that, we have around 10 questions. Let's go towards those 10 questions. I think all the panelists can see those questions. Am I right? So what we will do is, I'll take each question and I'll put it to each and every panelist so that, we can have answers from all four of us, in fact. So let's start with Sam D. Let's start with Sam D. We are a niche women's India wedding wear label. What online sale format do you suggest? My TG mainly is on Insta and FB. Offline sales happening from Mukti designer stores and apparel price of 30,000. So I think Insta and FB, I would ask Rohin to jump in. He's the guy for ads.
Yes. So I think I'm slightly confused at what online sale format do you suggest. So are they referring to the ad formats, or are they? I'll probably answer both. So one is
Rohin, just speak a little louder. I think your mic is not exactly catching. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little confused in terms of what kind of online sale format they want to ask. In terms of ad formats, I think Insta Story and single product video should work best for you. There's an apprehension in minds of a lot of fashion designers that Facebook and Insta are not good for, let's say, selling such a premium product. But we have brands where we work with MRPs of over 50 and 60,000 rupees also, and they also kind of generate 7 to 8 or 7 to 10 sales on normal business days. So just focus on very elaborately showing your product very meticulously, and just focus on Instagram. I think a lot of your funnel will get built on Instagram, and then through retargeting on Facebook, you'll be able to get customers. But whenever you go online, just give it 2 to 3 months. Don't take a call before a month, because you'll find some amount of experimentation to understand what kind of people are interacting with you. So just be at it. Just give it at least a minimum period of 2 to 3 months for the experiment, and you should be able to find the customers in the online space also.
So I think the question also, Rohin, was that when the apparel price is 30,000, is that TG available on Insta and FB? And if it is that the right channel to target?
Yes. So for that, I think Insta is the channel to target. You should not look at any other platform as of now. Majority of your budget should go on Insta, with some retargeting spends coming onto Facebook as well. There is one more upcoming channel, which is Pinterest, which has just started doing ads in India just before the COVID happened, and that's a good platform to be in. But for now, India's Instagram audience base is far higher compared to Pinterest. So just make sure you crack Instagram. If you're able to crack Instagram, you'll be able to get volumes through your website itself.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rohin, for that answer. I hope that was answered for Sam D. We have a question for Naveen. What did you mean by speed? Naveen, what did you mean by speed in terms of transitioning from offline to online?
So all I meant to say is, in terms of, there's a lot of conjecture about brands not having adopted e-commerce soon enough before COVID, and now getting that learning into the system. I think even Rohin touched upon the point that make small sprints, make small pilots. Unless you do it, get over that conjecture quicker, so that you begin to understand this format better and quicker. Because I think we cannot waste more time as any business in terms of thinking when and how to get it right, because it really is the only source of revenue in retail at this point. So from a speed perspective, I'm talking about go-to market and marketing. Do the pilots quicker.
Perfect. So do pilots quick, and discard whatever is not working. Whatever is working, double down on.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have a question from Vibhor Maheshwari asking, we at Pickup Shoes intend to start e-com business for customized shoes. Quite similar on the lines of shoes of Prey.com. Please suggest how can we get it done. I think Naveen is your guy. You need to get in
Yeah.
touch with the Green Honchos ASAP.
Yeah. I think that's a long consulting session. We'll be happy to do that. Please feel free to get in touch.
Yeah. So, I did not put in everyone's LinkedIn profile. In fact, that was something that I missed on doing. But what I will be doing in the follow-up email with those checklists, I will be sending contact details, including email addresses of all four of us, so that anyone can get in touch with everyone. And I think all of us will anyways be reaching out to the entire registrants about the session, and if you want to get in touch. So perfect. Then there is a question, and this is actually a very coronavirus apt question. What about material tried and returned? Anyone wants to take this? What about the material that is being tried and then returned during the coronavirus? How do you deal with that?
I think I can take a shot at it. So basically, what you'll have to do is one, give comfort to everyone all around you, including
Can't
the
hear
staff.
you.
Hello. Yeah. Is that better?
Level.
So I'm saying, as a brand, I think the brand should give comfort to people in the entire ecosystem. So anything that has been tried and returned has to be sanitized properly. The customers have to be given complete comfort that the products which they get for trial or even at the store are regularly sanitized. And even for the staff who is taking the product back, or even for the courier partners. So a lot of innovation is also happening on that front. I know a few shoes players are coming out with washable shoes, so there's no risk of COVID. So a lot of people are now, if somebody tries out a dress in the trial room, then it goes again for sanitization before it comes back to the shelves again. So I think we'll have to live with the reality. We'll have to probably spend some extra bucks in getting sanitization done. But that is the need of the hour, and that will actually give some comfort to your customers as well, that the products are safe, and until they test it out, try it out, I think it's easier to convince if people try it out. So you'll have to kind of spend the extra bucks to get it sanitized.
Got it. All right. I think this is not a question, but someone from House of Vian, Mr. Drish Mahajan, wanted to get in touch with SearchTab and AdYogi. So, Laksh, you have Mr. Drish's credentials, and you should get in touch with. He's the creative head and brand, brand and creative head for a brand called House of Vian. Design premium bags and jutis. So could be a really interesting conversation with both you and Rohin.
Absolutely, looking forward.
Sure, yeah. I mean, happy to talk to you, Drish. Post after the call.
Miss Drishti Mahajan. Sorry, my bad. Miss Drishti Mahajan is the person who's. Right. We have one more question from Aditya Panda. They're a brick and mortar store based in Odisha that deals in luggage, backpacks, and ladies' handbags. Great category. Love it because you buy handbags for your ladies, or they buy it for themselves, but eventually it's the same credit card. So sub illusion hai. So most of our customers are on Facebook and few are on Insta. And this is based on the data conducted over a month of research and survey. They're looking to go digital. The only digital asset that they own is a Facebook page. How should we go about digital journey? Insta, FB, own website, WhatsApp for business. So I think own website, Naveen and Laksh can take on that question. Insta and FB, Rohin can take over that question, and WhatsApp, another channel of communication, is something that I'll take. So I'll just quickly take my, then I'll pass it on to Rohin, then Laksh, and then Naveen. So you're absolutely right, sir. You have a brick and mortar store, so I'm pretty sure you must be having some sort of data in terms of what people have purchased from your POS. Wixo as a company and as a product specializes in building. So we work with WhatsApp directly. We have more than 40 plus brands who are on our solution with WhatsApp for business. And it's a great channel for building out sales, whether to generate inquiries. So you can, build any type of funnel on Facebook and Insta and, bring your queries to WhatsApp if you're just starting out. And obviously, you should have your own website, definitely. That is something that I think Mr. Laksh and Naveen can answer for you. But as far as email and SMS and WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and Snapchat goes, Wixo is we help a lot of e-commerce brands transition that communication channels from retail to, and we call it data activation. All your data, whether it's email addresses or phone numbers, we want to transition them to online and bring you online sales. So definitely, I think we can help you out in terms of WhatsApp for business and this thing. Would happy to have a conversation. Own website, Laksh, Naveen, you guys want to take over that piece, and then Rohin, Insta and FB.
Sure. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I think this would be a good time for you to jump into your own website. One of the good things which I think Rohin mentioned is that Shopify has a 90-day free plan. And there's another thing that I don't know if many people are aware about. If you go via a Shopify partner, then you can have your, you don't have to pay Shopify as long as you are in development. So even if it takes longer, although, I mean, I really, platforms like Shopify would allow you to go live in just a couple of days, but you don't have to pay until you are live. So I think this would be a right time to choose a platform like Shopify. Of course, there are other platforms, but for you, maybe because you just have probably, I'm assuming that you just have one physical brick and mortar store. I think Shopify would be the easiest and cheapest way for you to go about. It's rather hassle-free. You can create, I'm assuming you have some images of your products, basis the brands that you are selling, because luggage, backpacks, I'm assuming these are branded products. So you can already source those images, upload your catalog and practically go live on Shopify very, very quickly. So I think that would be my suggestion to you in terms of the website. And of course, as Rohin mentioned earlier, there is absolutely no minimum limit on the amount of money that you can spend to bring traffic on your website. I think having a website and then probably doing some sort of a mass WhatsApp or a SMS to start with, so that your existing customers, whoever is planning to travel, can probably buy from you right now and bring some traffic through through Insta ads, etc. I think that would be I would do that if I were in your shoes.
No, I'll agree with Lakshdeep. I think he's answered it on both our behalf.
Perfect. So Insta and FB for Rohin.
So I think it's good that they have a starting point that their majority of the audience is on Facebook. What I would suggest is that create a proper funnel. Start with Facebook. Just take out top 5 or 10 brands, target their interest group audience as well, and then see where do you land up in the funnel. I don't have any idea about the price points of the product, but just look at what kind of traffic do you get, and in your category you should have approximately a 2% conversion rate, which means out of 100 clicks coming onto your website, you should have roughly around 2 people converting as your customers. And then you can nurture your funnel on Facebook. Just spend probably some part of it on Instagram, 10-20% of your budget for retargeting, and just to get started, Facebook should be good enough for you.
Great. So I think that should answer your question, Mr. Aditya. If you'll have all the information. I think what you guys, what all the panelists can do is, while we are here, obviously we'll get in touch with everyone, but very quickly in the chat to all panelists and attendees, write your email addresses and leave that there so that I'll do my bit here. My email address is umair@wixo.com, so that anyone who wants to get in touch with any one of us can directly write an email to us. And I would request all, even all panelists and all attendees to write their email addresses so that we can reach out to each other if there is a. Apart from that, there was another question. There was not a question actually. This is from Jaspreet Ahuja. Jaspreet says that I'm a co-founder of the Pony and Peony. It's a kids designer label, and they have recently started their own e-commerce. Would love to get in touch with you experts. So I think, let's reach out to Jaspreet from the Pony and Peony, which is a kids designer label. A lot of interesting things happening in kids designer wear, by the way.
It's actually a great space to be in. This category probably has the highest number of conversion numbers that I've personally seen. Conversion rates can be as high as 4 to 5%, which is absolutely crazy.
5%.
I mean, I have been shocked. I've actually looked at search rate. So that's it's a brilliant category to be in. Yeah. So at this point in time, you might not want to spend on yourself, but you'd still be happy to buy probably a nice thing for your child. I mean, I would probably buy something for my daughter. So yeah.
We've been seeing that too, where very high conversions on the kids wear segment. Obviously, it becomes a essential segment in many ways.
Absolutely. Especially with moms being the decision maker, conversion rates I've seen are higher in this category. I mean, higher in comparison to other e-commerce.
Rohin, I think a question for you was, what is an industry average for Insta and FB ads conversion?
Insta and FB ads conversion depends on what
in the home decor category. Sorry, the question complete is in the home decor category.
Okay, in the home decor category, if somebody is in the a premium range, it should be anywhere from 1.5 to 2%. Anybody is in the mass market range, it should be anywhere from 2 to 4%. I think that's the broader range. Home decor actually gives you a good intent traffic on Google also, and Google should definitely get you above 5% conversion, but although it will be a very limited volume.
Yeah. No, I personally also have some very dear friend of mine, and also one of the users of Wixo's product. Avneet runs a store called the Wishing Chair, which is again home decor, and Wishing Chair is seeing what Rohin said, exactly that kind of conversion rate, and more from Instagram, because home decor is the kind of product that is very, very heavily focused on design aesthetics, and design aesthetics works really well on stories and advertisements on Instagram, because the whole appeal of Instagram is built towards design aesthetics. So I think that's something that that we are seeing great conversions from Instagram stories. Also, it's a very, very surprisingly very high loyal market, where people, if they buy home decor from one of the brands, they like the quality of the product, they keep on coming back and buying from. I know this because I work very closely with Wishing Chair, and so yeah, home decor is a very interesting category. So there are some emails, of course, guys. Rohin, Laksh, and Naveen. Samir has given, Karthik has given his LinkedIn profile. Anyone else have any questions? You have all our 4 email addresses, and really, really appreciate. We have obviously taken. Yes, let's wrap it up. We've already taken 25 minutes extra, and but it was really, really interesting, because frankly, I don't know about the attendees. I get to learn a lot whenever I'm talking to you guys, and that just inspires me to go out and do better work, build better products, sell more. Never thought I would say this two words in during coronavirus, but sell more is the mantra now. Even if Jio can do it, all of us can, right, guys?
Sure, sure. Thanks a ton.
Thanks, Naveen. Thanks, Laksh. Thanks, Sohin.
Thanks for hosting.
Really appreciate
Umesh.
everyone coming,
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
taking out the time. Laksh,
Thank you.
we got to talk about your beard next time.
Absolutely.
See you guys. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
guys. Really appreciate it. Good night and God bless.